Hey everybody, Josh and Tommy at Watch Hill Proper. We're doing another podcast today. Today we've got Prav Saraff from One West Dupont Wines and
Liquors, yeah.
Wines and Liquors. Yeah, so he's from Washington D.C. Been a long time liquor store owner in the whiskey business, and so we're excited to talk to him today. And we'll let you tell more of your story. I know just from listening to older podcasts and things that your dad started it, and then you were kind of a teenager, kind of working, not supposed to be working, but and just kind of fell into the concierge type
Yeah.
part of it.
Yeah. Yeah. That nails it. I mean, first of all, thank you so much for having me. What
Oh,
a
sure.
treat. Can't think of a prettier place to do this. So I appreciate you
Absolutely.
guys. But yeah, I mean, you nailed pretty much the story. My family migrated here in '89 from Nepal.
Hmm.
Uh, Dad opened our first store in DC in '5. And as most immigrant families do, family labor is free labor.
Right.
So as a teenager, as you put it, I was working at the store,
Right.
but not really, right?
Right.
Like, so I would go home from school, drop off my backpack, grab a notebook of some sort, hop on the metro, bicycle to the metro, hop on the metro, go to the city, walk over to the shop, and then drop my notebook on the counter and start ringing people up. So I literally grew up
Hmm.
in the industry.
Yeah.
I jokingly tell people I've been doing this since before I had facial hair, pretty much.
Is it right in the city?
Right in the city, yeah. And the store that we're talking about now is in the heart of like downtown DC. One block over from where all the lobbyists are, where all the accounting firms are, all the law firms are.
Oh, wow.
Would that be so? That's in Dupont, right?
So that's a
Would that be the
different
metro
store.
stop?
No,
Oh, the
so
original store
the
was
original
not in
store was a
Dupont.
different store. Exactly. We have since sold that to a family member of ours. We opened up the DuPont shop now about 18, 19 years ago,
Okay.
somewhere in that neighborhood.
Yeah. Because I'm a little more familiar with Dupont.
Yeah.
That's probably the most part that I'm most
Yeah.
familiar with
I
in
would say that's where
DC.
we started to like we already had started to build like somewhat of a national following amongst like the who's who for really rare high-end items because that's what we specialize in
Right.
at the other shop. But it went to the next level when DuPont opened up
Is that
because it
right?
gave us like we had a lot more space. We had like
Yeah.
DuPont is one block over from Embassy Row in DC, and it's also like a
Mhm.
very touristy part of town as
Yeah.
well. So you'd have millionaires and multimillionaires and billionaires, walking the streets every day.
Right. And so I guess the DC laws kind of were favorable for you guys to be the national
Yeah, 100%.
concierge, I guess, right?
Yeah, 100%. So it's actually a lot of the Kentucky laws that you guys have here are mirrored
Right.
from DC laws. DC laws are amazing because they give us the ability to legally buy a bottle from secondary sources as long as it's not available through a distributor.
Right.
Oh, wow. That's
Yeah, we can
that's
Well,
our
legally.
our
Kentucky
law,
vintage.
Yeah, your
our
vintage
law
law is
mirrored
literally
came from
almost a
theirs.
photocopy of ours, almost.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if I knew it was that similar. That's
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
then
So we've been doing it forever. So the stipulations are that the distributor must not have what you're looking for in
Right.
the quantity and the time period that you need it. So
Right.
even if they tell you like, hey, yeah, we can get you whatever, Michter's 25, but it'll take 3 months. But if you need it this week, then you can go buy from a secondary source without any problem.
Really?
You just have to pay a little tax and fill out a little paperwork with the city.
Yeah.
But the city allows us to do that. So we've been doing that, I mean, God, probably for 25-ish years
Right.
now.
Wow.
Like, since before people knew it was a thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Now, did you start that or did your dad start that?
So
Like,
I
how did
started
that
that
evolve?
aspect of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I started that
As a
aspect of it.
teenager.
Yeah. Maybe not that long ago. Meaning like I didn't start it as a teen, but I would say like we got into really, really high end stuff when I was probably about a junior or so in college.
Okay.
So maybe I'm
And
legally able to drink at this point, maybe not. I don't
right.
remember. Right.
Yeah.
But we had,
But
I
around
mean,
then.
just a client walk the street and ask for all these really high end items that we didn't carry. And then a light bulb went off in my head. And I just said, nobody in the city, because then I spent time looking to see who carries these things, and nobody in the city did.
So you just started establishing when you knew that was kind of the avenue you were going to go. You just started establishing these relationships with folks that you knew
100%, brother.
could get the big voice.
So we started to establish kind of two-way relationships. One from people we could buy from, and one to people we could sell to.
Yeah.
We never advertised. We never, like, to this day, we're not like, advertisers or anything of that nature. We let our customer service, our selection, kind of do its magic by itself. And we really are firm believers in word of mouth. You treat somebody right, they're going to go and tell 5 other people.
Yeah, that's cool.
So that's kind of how it started, just word of mouth.
Yeah, I mean, it's the
The
snowball.
first guy went and said, "Hey, told all my buddies, hey, look what I
100%.
just landed all this in
Yeah.
DC."
Because a lot of these guys that, we deal with and like to deal with are truly multi-millionaires,
Right.
right? So for them, it's not a matter of
No.
money. It's a
Right.
matter of access. They want to be able to have a guy. They want to be able to
That's right.
call or text a guy and say, "Hey, Prav, I need a bottle of
Right. I got a
Macallan
party.
40 or whatever
Yeah.
it may be." And then when they get that, they like to show it off to their friends. When their buddies come over, "Oh, you don't have this? You don't have this? My guy's got you. Don't worry. Just tell him I
Very
sent you."
cool.
That's cool.
Yeah,
That is
yeah, it
really
was great.
And that was 20-ish years ago.
Yeah, a little over 20 years ago for
Yeah.
that.
So you guys probably have quite the client list at this point, I would imagine.
Yeah, I'd like to think that we've got some of the, who's who of the country
Right.
and some of the who's who of the world, like really some of the top 1%ers, even
Oh,
some of
yeah.
the 1% of the 1%ers even.
Right. Now it's worldwide.
It has become worldwide as well because, again, DC is such a transient city,
And you
right?
can
There's so many
ship.
people.
Yeah.
We don't ship globally, but we've had people fly into DC just to shop and then either take it back on their private jet or check a luggage and pack
Yeah.
up their suitcase and take it with
Is there busier times of the year?
Yeah, in our industry, I'd say like, ND, October, November, December is generally
Yeah.
the busiest. Um, DC traditionally always gets really quiet in July and August.
Right.
It's hot as hell. It's
Congress
humid as hell.
leaves.
It's miserable weather-wise. Congress leaves. Everybody's kids are on vacation. So the city empties out.
Yeah.
And then you would think there's a lot of tourism because, again, kids are out of school and stuff. But because the weather is so miserable that there's not that much tourism in July and August either.
Yeah.
So that's like the slow time.
Okay.
And then obviously I think you guys might even experience this
Oh
here,
yeah.
but like
July's our worst month.
January and February are a little slower as well, right?
Mhm.
People have
July and August and
Miserable.
we have the same weather.
Yeah.
It's just
Oh yeah,
horrible.
that's right. Exactly. You guys have the same weather.
Horrible.
So the other like slow time we see is like January and February because people are either broke from holiday shopping or have New Year's resolutions or they're spending more time at the
Yeah.
gym or they're not going to drink this year or they're doing dry January,
Yeah.
etc.
Right.
Right around Valentine's Day, all those things fall apart. And
Yeah.
then people start
I
again.
know. Yeah. Exactly. Well, that's cool. Yeah, I was trying to think. I had another question lined up and then I lost it. But
That's just fascinating. Probably, I mean, it's kind of like those. You really don't want to display or talk about some of the folks, but I mean, it's just probably that list of people
Yeah, it's
that you have met one on one is not only a who's who in the bourbon industry, but probably a who's who in every industry, financial industry, celebrities, probably.
Yeah,
I mean,
brother, to
it's
be honest with you, we're blessed, and you're right. I mean, it's the who's who of every industry,
that
as you
is too
said.
cool. That is just
Celebrities,
cool, man.
politicians,
Yeah.
businessmen and
athletes,
women,
actors.
athletes. I mean, actors. I mean,
Yeah.
you name it. Some of the experiences that we've been able to be a part of because of what we do and because of the connections that we've been able to make are unparalleled. I tell people all the time, there are times when I don't believe that my life is real. Like this has to be a movie.
Right.
There's got to be a camera on somewhere because
Right.
I,
That's cool.
I mean, anytime you ask me how I'm doing, I always answer.
I
Look at
won't ask the amount.
Okay.
But I will ask it this way. Is the highest dollar amount product that you've ever sold scotch, bourbon, or something else?
Something else, and I'm happy to share the amount. It doesn't bother me. Excuse me. Sorry about that.
You're good.
The most expensive bottle that we've ever sold is a bottle of Japanese whiskey, Yamazaki 55-year-old. We sold it for a hair under $700,000.
Wow. 700,000. Now, were they going to drink it?
So I don't believe so. So this gentleman
that's a
flew in
collector.
from Asia to pick up the bottle and then left back on a private jet.
Yeah.
Heard of Yamazaki. I've never heard of a 55.
Yeah, it's
That's
pretty
nice.
special. They made 100 bottles of it. Only supposedly 30 bottles came into the U.S. Again, we've lived an insane life that doesn't make sense. We've owned 3 of the 100 that came to the U.S.
Really?
It's pretty wild.
Has there ever been a bourbon that you were searching for that you just couldn't find? Never.
No, not that I can think of, at least not off the top of my head. Now, with that being said, there might be like some, and I hate to say it this way, like bottom to
Yeah.
middle shelf $25 bottle from 20 years ago or something that somebody wants for some sentimental reason.
Yeah.
We probably won't find those because people didn't hold on to things like that,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
Like you're hoping somebody has a bottle in their collection. That's how we're going to get it.
Right.
So either we won't find them because they weren't held on to, or the amount of time that and energy would take to find it
Yeah.
would make that bottle be worth like $1,000, and then it's just not worth it to the person looking for it, to be honest. Nor is it worth it for us to tell them like pay $1,000 for this $25 meaningless bottle.
So to
Yeah.
you, in your opinion, give me two or three of the really rare bourbons that may even have been a little harder to find. You're the biggest dollar, or are well really just hardest to find.
Sure.
I mean, I have a few in my mind, and I want to see if we're.
Yeah,
I mean,
definitely. I mean, you name it, and we had it in our store at any given time, like all the Blackhawk, very old Fitz bottles. We were talking earlier about the Rathskeller Rye Speakeasy, Red Hook. We've had all the different barrels of the Red Hook. Some of the harder ones to find actually sometimes comes down to not just finding the bottle, but for it to be in the condition that either we or our client want,
yeah,
right? Like especially like if you're talking about like some of the pre-prohibition bottles and stuff, like we've had our hands on countless pre-prohibition bottles, and sometimes they're not in great condition. I mean, they're more than
Right.
100 years old, right?
Right.
Um, but then you'll present it to a client, send them pictures, and say, "Hey, I found this whatever bottle from 1916." And you go, I don't love the label. If you find a cleaner one, let me know.
well,
Oh wow.
I would take it. And so then what that does, unfortunately or fortunately, depending on how you look at it, is it sends me down this rabbit hole of finding a cleaner one because I know I have a customer for it.
yeah,
Right.
Right? So I'm not just looking to add something to the collection. I'm looking to bring it in and move it right away. But it's got to check these boxes of it being a cleaner bottle, better label, better tax strip, fill level, clarity of the whiskey, whatever it may be. And then those are the things that get to be really challenging.
Are you a good enough authenticator that you put your trust in yourself, or do you bring,
We do both. So we back everything we sell,
Right.
first and foremost, right? Because our family built our business based on our reputation and word of mouth, like I was saying. So if I poke you in the eye, even by mistake, I want to make sure I make it right.
yeah,
We'll own up to it. We'll get in front of it instead of hiding from it. But we also want to make sure that we never put ourselves in that position. So first step we take to kind of avoid that is we only buy from trusted sources, right? Verified sources or people that come to us through references. Even when we're buying online and we're buying from somebody new, I'll make sure I get multiple references from said person.
Hmm.
And then that's the first step. And that at least weeds out, in my opinion, 90 to 95% of the problems, maybe more.
Right.
And then after that, like we've held our fair share of bottles. So we know what the label should look
Right.
like, what the color should look like of the whiskey, what the label should feel like. You'd be surprised how every now and then somebody who's a refiller or
yeah.
making forfeiting bottles doesn't pay attention to the texture of the label and things like that. And we look for all of those things, and we'll reject bottles before we put them in our
Yeah.
store.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah. So back to I do remember now.
Yeah,
So I see you on your Instagram. You're posting a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
All right. All right. Is all of that for a client specifically, or are you just bringing stuff in that you think, hey, I can move this in 6 months?
Yeah,
I
great question.
came across it. It's cool. Let's buy it. I can move it eventually.
Yeah, great
Or
question. So
kind
it's
of
a
how do
little bit
you
of
how
both.
does that business work?
So it's a little bit of both. Sometimes we'll get something in and we don't have a client already in mind for it, and we'll bring it in because we've been doing this for so long. We understand value, right? I understand what I paid for today, what I think it'll be worth tomorrow, what I think I could sell for today, what I think I could sell for tomorrow. And if the numbers make sense, we'll bring it in regardless of if we have an outlet for it or not.
Gotcha.
Then there are also times where I go, oh, I know my ex-client loves very old fits, for example, right?
Right.
Or very, very old fits, 12 years or whatever. So there are times where I'll come across like an entire 12-pack case of them.
Mm.
No
And then,
way.
yeah, like things like that happen, right? Like people find them in estate sales. They get
Yeah.
them passed down to them, or they've been sitting on them forever, or they used to drink but don't anymore and have been sitting on these and might as well move them now. There's lots of reasons where or why people sell us things. So if I come across something like that and I know I have a client for it, then I'll immediately bring it in and call them and be like, hey, Mike, Brian, John, whatever. I've got, X bottle and I know you would love it. I'm happy to offer it to someone else or put it in the store, but I wanted to give you first crack at it because I know you like it because
That's cool.
we make sure we're maintaining the relationships
Yeah.
both ways, right? They're buying from us. So when it's something that's cool and special and unique, I want to make sure I offer it to them first.
Right.
And we do that. So our Instagram at times will be, like you said, it's sometimes the bottles are insane. And sometimes they're going to a particular client, sometimes they're
Right.
not. Like one of the crazier finds, I'll tell you, was we had an entire 12 pack sealed of the Van Winkle first release 1998 green glass 23
I
year.
was getting ready to ask you about the green glass.
Yeah, it
That
was
was one of my next
and it was a
questions.
sequential numbered
Oh my
bottles in the
goodness
12 pack
gracious!
case. So we sold 7 of those to one client, sequential, and then his ask was, if I'm buying more than half the case, can I have the box?
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, you can
Right.
have the box.
So,
I'm
okay,
buying
how
half
about
the
7 then?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I kept 2 of those because they're in our vault. At
Yeah.
some point they'll come out.
Right.
And then we sold the other 3 to 3 different individual clients.
And you just felt, and you came across that and you were like, the price that they're willing to take
It was
is
worth it.
something I can make money
Correct.
on.
Yes, exactly. So
Yeah.
that's exactly. So for us, I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel.
Right.
For me, everything is about cost of acquisition.
Oh yeah.
What does it cost me today? And what do I think it potentially will cost
Yeah.
me tomorrow? And what can I sell
Did
it
they
for?
have a price in mind, or did you throw it out?
So with this particular deal, they had a price in mind. This gentleman that sold it to me knew his stuff.
Okay, cool.
He knew valuations
Yeah.
and he knew, where the market was headed. We bought it before the real crazy bourbon boom, if you would, of
Yeah.
COVID, etc. Like right before that.
But he also knew you needed to make money on it.
100%. Exactly.
Because that's what a struggle we run into a little bit here.
A little
'Cause
bit.
we get approached a lot, from people trying to sell us things,
Mhm.
and honestly, 9 times out of 10, we can't make a deal
Yeah.
because it's like I can't pay you what it
Exactly.
went for auction
Agreed.
at.
I know,
Like,
because I could just buy it at
I
auction.
mean, like, I just bought it at the auction,
Yes. Yes.
so like you have to give me a this is a used cars sale. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like
No, I totally get it. Believe me,
I'm
brother.
buying it from you to resell it. I have
Right.
to
We're
have
not
some
sitting on it.
I
We're
have
not
to have
drinking
some
it.
margin.
We're
And
trying
I
to
think
get.
a lot of people just don't understand that.
My favorite is, I'll tell you this. This is a really good one. So there are bottles that you guys very well know that have an MSRP of, let's say, around $100,
Right.
and they have I'll call it secondary value of, let's say, around $600.
Okay.
So we'll buy them on secondary for, let's say, 600, and we turn around and sell them in the store for between 750 and 800 or whatever the number may be, right?
Right.
We have guys that look at our website, go, well, Prav's selling this for $799. I'm going to take it to him and I'm going to say, okay, I would sell this to you at $750.
Right.
So you
Right.
still make $50 on it.
Yeah.
And
Thank you.
then our rebuttal generally is multi-layered. It's, well, I can buy this for 600 whenever I want.
Right.
I don't need this right now.
Right.
So there's no need for me to overpay,
Right.
and B, let's make sure we're on the same page. You bought this bottle for $100.
Right.
You want to come and sell it to me for 700, and then you want me to make $100 on it.
Right.
While you made $600 on
Right.
it. And meanwhile, I'm buying it legally. I'm paying taxes on the purchase. I'm paying taxes on the
Yep.
sale. I'm paying employees. I'm paying rent. I'm
I
paying
know.
electricity, insurance,
And you're gonna
overhead, et
take
cetera, et cetera.
700 out of my pocket,
Yeah.
Yeah.
so I don't have it to pay for all those things, and
Exactly.
I'm gonna just hope somebody's
And
gonna
make
come
50
along.
bucks.
And
Yeah.
I sit on and I put it on the shelf
That's
and
what I
sell
mean.
it whenever it
Yeah.
sells.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And then at the same time, you think it's super fair because I get to make $100 on
Right.
this transaction.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
thank you, but I will respectfully pass.
We get a lot of those
That's
calls.
for
Yes.
sure.
A lot of those.
It's
And,
insane.
I appreciate them calling us.
Yes.
I do. And I
Yes.
want them to continue to call,
Correct.
because at some point there's going to be a deal that works both ways.
100%.
And we've had the good and the bad and the ugly. But
Yes.
the majority of the time, that story is
It's so spot
right
on,
on.
right? I mean, we've
Yeah.
been doing this long enough to see every aspect of it.
Yeah.
And these are my favorites. And as you said, we want them to call. We want them to keep coming in. We want them
Sure.
to email, to text, to send me a Facebook message, et cetera, et cetera. I would like to think if somebody found a case of really cool special whiskey or a bottle of really cool special whiskey, I'd like to think we're one of the top 3 to 5 phone calls that they make in the entire country
I would assume so.
to say, hey, do you want to buy it? I'd like to think that's the reputation we've built, is that you have something cool and rare and unique, call me. If the number is fair, we will buy it, especially if we have a need for it, right? There are times you go, okay, I've got 30 of these already.
Yeah.
It's cool and unique, but it's not that rare. We've got 30 in inventory.
Right.
We don't need a 31st bottle.
Right.
For what
Unless they're just gonna give it to you.
Right. Unless the
Yeah.
price is
Yeah.
like a price I can't walk away
Yeah.
from, then sure.
for what you're doing, are you top of the food chain? I mean, are you as good as there is doing this
God, that
really.
sounds so
Well,
pompous
no,
for
okay.
I
me to
mean, you know
say.
what? Hey, listen, we're the
I don't know
largest
of
American
anybody.
whiskey bar in the
Sure.
world. We are the
Wow.
largest American
Wow.
whiskey bar in the world. Is that pompous for saying it? No,
So I
because
mean,
it's true. Until somebody comes and flicks us off,
yes.
I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
flicks us
Like
off that perch,
yeah,
then I'm going to continue to say it. And
yeah. I love that. So I mean, so with that being said, I would like to think so, but I've also always thought that I'm not ever going to be the smartest or the best or whatever. There's somebody out there that maybe we don't know of that might be better at it than us. But if I'm being honest and candid, and again, this is not my character to do this, but I would say, yeah, we probably are the best at it.
Yeah.
I don't think we have an
I
equal.
love that. I think if you're doing and you have listen, you wouldn't have done it 25 years if you weren't doing something right because I'm
I
going to tell you
appreciate that.
we go through that too. I mean, you
Yeah,
have to keep reinventing yourself and making sure that
correct.
you're establishing really good relationships and if a relationship is a little bit not where you want it, you got to fix it. And
Yes,
so we do
100%.
that. And
Yeah.
so but if you're continuing to do all the good stuff,
Yeah,
you've
listen,
earned
I
it.
mean, it's not that I lack confidence, right? My wife will tell you I'm borderline cocky, right?
There's nothing wrong
Right.
with
Like
that.
I've got a ton of confidence, almost arrogance
Yeah.
slash cockiness, if you would. So it's even with that being said, it's hard to say we're the best, but I mean, it's genuinely probably true, in my opinion. I don't think we have an equal. I know for a fact I don't have an equal when it comes to customer service, period. I
That's
mean, whether the
amazing.
guy is spending $3 at the store or $300,000 at the store, you will get my very best. You will get every ounce of my attention. You will
That's awesome.
get my every ounce of my
Yeah.
effort, and it'll be genuine. We've built our entire business on genuine, true relationships. And it's easy to do that when you're being you, when you're being real.
Sure.
It's really hard to fake it because you got to remember the lies. You got to remember how you faked it.
Right.
You
Absolutely.
got to keep up with
Yeah.
all of those
Yeah,
things. You don't have to remember the truth. It's the
that's
truth.
true. Absolutely. I love that.
And
That's
how
cool.
important is your staff?
Oh God, they're everything. They're the
Yeah.
backbone, as you guys know. I mean, they're the backbone of any business,
For
right?
sure.
The reason I can be here with you guys today while the store is open
Right.
is because I have a staff that is incredible at what they do. They also make sure that every customer feels welcome. They make sure that they know who the valued relationships are. Not to say any relationship isn't valued, but
Right.
every business has a VVIP
Oh yeah.
list. And these
Right.
guys all know those VVIPs and they want to make sure that whether they come in or call or send somebody, that they get treated like a VVIP. They get treated with the red carpet treatment. So they know that, hey, I'm special to this guy because they are.
Yeah.
Because without them, we don't have our business. My family doesn't have the things that we have without our VVIPs being good to us. So the staff is incredible about it. We
Yeah.
say all the time, we're literally a family, like at the store,
But you're the last call.
100% all the time. I mean, again, going back to a little bit of arrogance, I would like to think I'm the best at it regardless. If they're doing as good a job as I am, then there's some shortcomings in me, right? I should be
Right.
better as
Yeah.
the guy that trains them, works with them, leads them, etc.
Yeah.
Right?
And
I
if
should be
someone's spending
better.
$100,000 from your company, it's you. I mean,
Yes.
which is the
Yes.
way it should be. I
Yes,
mean,
Well,
exactly.
yeah.
you kind of go through that in your other business. I mean,
Yeah.
you
There's
want
some
to,
people the owner needs to talk to versus,
sure, for
the
sure.
the person on the floor.
100%. Yeah. And if I'm here,
Yeah.
let's say, and it's very possible we're past 10 o'clock, right? It's very possible somebody could walk into the store right now and want to spend six figures. And if they do, my guys are very capable of handling it.
Right.
At the same time, they know that they should call or text me to say, hey, boss,
Yeah.
this is
Sure.
happening. I've done X, Y, and Z. What else should I do? Also, do you want to talk to them?
Right.
Right? Do you want to talk to this customer, whether
Yeah.
it's a first time customer or a repeat customer, whatever it may
That's
be?
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
they're
cool.
great. Yeah,
Yeah.
they're great.
That's cool.
That is very cool.
So going back to the beginning,
Yeah.
so get into a little bit of the business side of things. So your family comes over, they're immigrants,
Yep.
and I assume your dad finds work here and there.
Yep.
So then how do you go from being new in a country, just trying to get your footing and get established to saying, I'm gonna be a small business owner. I'm gonna open my own store and just risk it all.
Yeah. So
How does he get there?
So my dad has been an entrepreneur his entire life. Like if you looked up the word entrepreneur in the
Okay.
dictionary, every adjective you could tick mark for my pops,
Mhm.
right? I tell people all the time, we've dealt with some of the most successful people in the world and some of the wealthiest people in the world. I'll put my dad's business wits up against any of them any day of the
That's
week.
cool.
Now, with that being said, the man,
That's
he doesn't
risky
drink.
though, right?
Yeah. Yeah. He doesn't drink and he doesn't not only not drink, but he also doesn't know the product. meaning you could blindfold my dad and give him a glass of bourbon, vodka, and red wine. And not only would he not be able to tell you the differences or which is which, he might not even know they're three different things because he doesn't drink, doesn't have the palate or knowledge or expertise, if you would, in that
Has he
field.
ever?
Yeah, I mean, he's tasted things,
Yeah.
right? But he doesn't drink.
Yeah.
With that being said, he is a businessman. What he's an expert at is you give him $1, he'll give you $2 back,
Right.
right? That's what he
Okay.
does.
Cool.
So I got blessed. I had the best teacher in the world, my
Right.
pops, teaching me that aspect of it. And then I got to learn the product on my own. And then you mix the two together and you create this like superpower, if you
Yeah.
would, right?
Yeah.
So let's go back to
But
the beginnings and the story.
so he just found a niche and say, like, I think a liquor store would do well.
Yeah, kind of. So here's what happened. So like you said, immigrant families, you do literally any and every odd job you
Right.
can. When we moved here, dad did everything. We grew up in America, dirt effing poor. I mean,
Right.
I say dirt poor, I mean dirt poor. I mean, like
Expected.
Christmas was spent at the dollar store
Mhm.
buying one or two gifts for ourselves, wrapped in dollar store wrapping sale paper, if you
Right.
would, right?
Yeah.
So we've seen it all. So at that time, we couldn't even really dream of the things that we have today. But dad always knew he was going to bet on himself and open a business because that's what he did.
Okay.
And that's what he had done his whole life. So when his finally time came, he started looking for, okay, I'm going to look to see what business I can open. And he had worked at liquor stores previously. So he knew that the liquor business was great because if you worked hard and treated people right, you're going to make money.
Okay.
Might not be the wealthiest guy in the world, but it was a business that was almost hard to fail in, if you would. So fast forward to 1995, I want to say fall, like September,
You've
October
been in the
time.
country 6
We've been in the country
years.
6 years, struggled extremely hard. We find this liquor store that's up for sale, and mom and dad walked in and they bought one of those $1 scratch tickets. Mom won $10. So they go, okay, this is our lucky store. This is this is the business we're going to buy. This man goes out and buys a $150,000 business with no money in his pocket.
I was gonna say,
So he
I'm
borrowed,
thinking this through. I'm like,
yeah.
where do you get a
So
loan?
he
Where do you
borrowed
get?
money from his credit cards at 28% interest, which is like
Yes.
ridiculous to think about and
Yeah.
imagine, and almost foolish to do. But you can do that when you got balls of steel and when you're willing to bet on yourself,
Yeah, that's true.
right? There's never been a risk he's been afraid to take if he could bet on himself and his family. So he told mom, went home, told mom, he said, hey, for the next few months. So traditional Indian meal at night will be like rice, lentils, and some vegetables.
Okay.
He comes home and he tells mom, like, hey, next few months, no vegetables.
Right. Just
We can't
rice.
afford it. Rice and lentils. And if we
Yeah.
can't afford the lentils, no big deal, just rice. Kids will be fine because I need to pay off this loan in the next 3 years. He pays it off in about a year and a half instead of 3 years because how badass he is at what he
Right.
does, right?
Right.
And
At
that,
28%,
right, it was insane, bro. It was insane. And then at this point, we still weren't selling high end stuff. So
Right.
let's think about that time period. I'm 16, don't know anything about the business or the industry or the products. We didn't have Google to teach us. Like if I wanted to know what this whiskey was or what it tasted like, I couldn't go to Google or YouTube or Facebook or Instagram or anything. I had to talk to somebody verbally that had tried it.
Yeah.
That's the only way I'd find out, or pick up the label and read it and try to learn from it that way.
Right.
And this is the industry that I grew up in, right? We grew up like I remember clear as day. My mom and I still joke around about it. We used to pronounce Pinot Noir, Pinot Noir,
Yeah.
because we didn't know.
Right.
We had no idea. We went into this business cold. We
Right.
knew that dad would make money. We knew that dad understood business, right? But we didn't know any of the products. Our high end stuff back then was $15. We used to have people come in and ask for like $100 bottle of wine, let's say, right? And I'd be like, and something I haven't heard of, like, we don't have it, but we got Kendall Jackson. Right.
Right.
That's what we sold a lot of. So I just assumed it was good at $12 or
Yeah.
whatever it was. We didn't know. And then slowly over time, as I got more and more involved, we started to realize, like I said, like, there's this other kind of world out
Oh,
there that we
yeah.
weren't exploring. So we started
But
to push the envelope
expensive to enter,
100%.
right?
But again, if you think about dad not being afraid to take risks, right? Like the very first, I remember, like, excuse me, sorry. I found these bottles of scotch. All right. And they used to wholesale for $1,200, but our distributor had a sale on them because they couldn't sell them. So they would be, I forget if it was 400 or 450, one or the other. And they had 12 of these bottles. So I told dad, I was like, it's an insanely good deal. And at this point, our most expensive thing we were selling was probably about $100 or so.
Yeah.
Right. And I was like, it's a really good deal. He said, you think you could sell it? I said, eventually, yes. I don't know how soon and I don't know when. And he said, how much for? I said, at least $1,500 a bottle. He goes, okay, buy them all.
Wow.
Just
That's
and just like that,
$5,000.
$5,000. It didn't blink, and this is $5,000 we don't have to blow,
Mm-mm.
right? But he didn't blink. He was like, if you think you could sell it, go buy them, because it's only one way we're going to find out if it works or not. And we did. So then we did. We took baby steps.
Yeah.
We pushed a $100 envelope to $300, and when we
Right.
saw that work, oh, maybe I can sell something for 500.
Right.
Okay, when we sold something for 500, maybe I could sell something that's 1,000.
Yeah.
Wait, is 5,000 out of the realm of possibility?
Is 50,000 out of the realm?
Precisely. One of
Yeah.
our most expensive bottles in the store now is a bottle that we sell. It's a Macallan Lalique 50 year. It's got a shelf price at our store of $265,000. The very first bottle of that I sold for $5,000. That I bought for $4,000. And the customer that bought it, I gave him a $600 bottle of scotch for free as a gift to buy it. So we only made $400 on the transaction.
Oh no.
But I'll be damned if it wasn't the most joyful $400 we
Yeah.
ever made, because it unlocked this
Right.
world for us. It made us
I can
go,
move this if I have to.
exactly.
So was there a period during that at 16, 18, 19, 20 years old that you were either secretly trying to sip and learn, or did you wait till you're 21 and you're like, I have got to learn these products so I can talk about them?
Great question. So I learned, but I learned through speaking to people and reading and talking more than drinking or trying. So again, let's think about that time period. There weren't supplier reps coming around with bottles every
Right,
day,
right.
especially to stores that didn't carry cool things to
Right.
say try them. So if I wanted to try this new $80 bottle,
And to
that
open
meant
it.
I had to open it and
Yeah.
I had to pay for it. And with dad also not drinking and mom not drinking, nobody in my house drinking, and us not having money, I couldn't justify opening it. So we just waited till we learned to talk to somebody. What I would do is, let's say you're one of the sales reps for one of the distributors. You come in and you want to take an order. Say, okay, great. I'm happy to give you an order because there are things we need. But before we do that, pick 10 random products from your book and tell me everything you know about them.
Oh, wow.
Oh wow.
So I could like soak in the knowledge of what you know, and then let's take your order after that. And I would do this with every sales rep. Say, okay. So that's the way I learned,
Wow.
right? That's I
amazing.
literally self-taught. And I've been very blessed along the way. Had some incredible people in my life, some mentors, and obviously dad, but like other guys that helped, like clients that became mentors. So like
I remember
of
reading
my-
about, yeah.
one of my favorite stories, God rest his soul, is this client that had a firm diagonally across the street from us. He walks in one day, this gentleman drinks red wine. And at this point, our high-end wines are like $30. And he walks in and he asks me for 6 different bottles of wine that all retail between $50 and $125 or so. Do you have this? Nope. Do you have this? Nope. No, 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 no. Go down the list, right? But as dad had always taught me, full attention, full customer service, aggressively polite, right? Like everything. So this guy goes, young man, go get a pen and paper. I said, okay. Went and got a pen and paper. He said, you remind me a lot of myself when I was younger, and I'll tell you why. He said, I could tell you don't know shit because of the recommendations you were giving me when I was asking for higher end stuff. Because
Right.
again, like I said, if somebody asked for $100 bottle, like we got Kendall Jackson.
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
Right. So he's like, I could tell that you don't know your shit, but
Yeah.
I can also tell that you want to work hard and you're treating people the right way and your customer service matters to you. So I'm going to help you out. He said, I'm going to give you these 6 names again. I want you to write them down, find out who the distributor is, and order a case of each of these 6 wines. Put whatever your standard wine markup is on them. Call me when they come in, and I'll take half a case of each when they come in. You put the other half a case of each on their shelf. And then in 30 days, if they don't sell, call me and I'll come back and take them again.
Wow.
So that's a deal that no businessman can walk away from, right? You
No.
can't lose. It's free money. It's
It's a
an
guaranteed
opportunity.
sale.
Exactly.
He's
Guaranteed
going to buy
sale,
all of it if you don't
guaranteed
sell
return
it.
customer potentially, et cetera, et cetera. Most people in the world would be jumping over the moon over an opportunity like this. I'm not most people. I always try my best to make sure I think of different angles and unique things and create situations that others maybe aren't thinking of. So I tell him, I say, I'm happy to do that, Mr. Thomas, but I got a condition I want to make. And he starts laughing. He's like, you're in no position to make a condition. He
Right.
said, but I love it. Hit me. What do you
Yeah.
want? I said, I want your money. I want to make the sale. But more than that, I want your knowledge. I want to learn. I want to know what you know. And he goes, oh, that's pretty cool. He's like, okay, what do you want to do? What do you propose? I said, I'm here every single day. I said, you tell me when you're free. And I want you to teach me what you know. And he said, how about Tuesday at 4:30? And I said, how about every Tuesday at 4:30? And he goes, okay, every Tuesday at 4:30, you come to my office and we'll learn wine. I said, incredible.
Wow.
So I would go to his office with the notebook, which I still have to this day, one of those black and white composition notebooks. And then we would just start. Napa Caps. Brrr, he would just tell, like, keep talking, and I would just
Amazing.
jot down stuff.
That's cool.
Next week, it'd be like Red Bordeaux, left
Right.
bank. Boom. I would just jot down everything. And I mean, this guy taught me more than,
Any book.
more than 4 years of college, in
Yeah.
all honesty,
Yeah.
Yeah.
right? Like,
Yeah.
because he didn't teach me like we learned stuff in college that I'll never use in real life,
Yeah, for sure.
right? He taught me stuff that I could build as the base of my business,
Yeah. Wow.
right? So I mean, we've been
That's a great
really
story.
blessed along the way and have
Yeah.
had people like that come by.
Yeah. I think,
Yeah. That's
well,
cool.
Tommy and I had a conversation just yesterday. When you see somebody that's young, that has that mentality where they're just willing to hustle, they're hard workers. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
They don't know everything, but they're willing, and it's just like in our current world, it just seems so rare.
I couldn't agree more, brother.
It's like, how can we figure out a way to like give them a start, like what can we do, because it's like I want this person to be successful because
Yes.
they're willing to hustle and
Yeah.
work hard, and that's just a rare
Yeah, you're so right.
trait, so I could see him seeing that in you and just being like, look, I want this kid to be successful.
It was amazing, right? If you think about
because
it, he had nothing to gain from it.
no, of course
He
not.
was investing an hour of his time every week with some kid that he didn't know.
Yeah.
How long did that last?
Gosh, I mean, I knew him until his passing, unfortunately, which happened probably about 10 or 12 years ago now. But I mean, the class is probably 6-ish months, I'd say.
It's just too cool, man.
I'm telling you, it was the most amazing
very
thing. And
cool.
it's something that I cherish. And,
Yeah.
they talk about like how your life flashes before your eyes when you pass.
Yeah.
I have a strong feeling that like some of those moments with him will be some of the things that'll flash before my eyes, because
Right.
I just think about what a kind human being, what a good soul
Yeah.
Right. To invest in
to
you.
invest in me when
for
he's
free.
got nothing to gain from it,
Yeah.
just out of the decency of being a good human being.
Yeah.
And if it wasn't for him, who knows if we would have ever had the opportunities that we had later on in business?
Mhm.
Who knows if we would have just been perfectly happy selling
Kendall Jackson.
Smirnoff and Kendall Jackson. Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
that's too
Right.
cool.
Because it's not that you can't make money selling Smirnoff and Kendall Jackson. You can.
Yeah.
But
You guys have a
We
lot
all-
more Kendall Jackson than you do.
You got
everything.
it takes a lot of Kendall Jackson to make up one Yamazaki 55.
Yes, it does. Yeah, just a little bit.
Mm.
So, so I've got a list of questions
Yeah,
that we
hit me,
typically ask everybody. Do you have a greatest challenge or the hardest part about being a store owner? What would you say is the hardest part about being?
I want to say it's going to be a couple of different things. One is meeting the expectations of our clients. Because of the expectations we've set and the bar that we have set, they expect us to deliver and to be the best.
Sure.
And sometimes that gets to be a bit challenging. I want X bottle and I want it
There's
here
only
within
been
a week.
6. I've only know of 6 in existence,
Exactly.
and I want one.
Yes. I mean, we've got some of those, right? Like the
Right.
OFC 1982 5-liter.
Right.
5 in existence. We own 2 of them, right? So, I mean, there's things like that. So, like, if you say something like, we can do it. Now, sometimes they go, well, I expect it within a week, Prof, because I told you.
Oh, well,
And they go, okay, no
Yeah.
problem. And we will do our best to do that. So that's one of the things is like, and we like it. I love that challenge because that hustle keeps me alive. It's my emotional high,
Yeah.
right? Without it, life becomes a little more mundane.
Yeah.
So I want the chase. I always want push me further.
Right.
Ask me for things that you think are ridiculous. I want to see if I can deliver.
Yeah.
Because if I can, then you're going to go tell everybody how insane
Sure.
it is that I was able to do this.
Yeah.
So that's one. And the other is we touched earlier upon like staffing and also like, just things in the world and the place we live in today.
Right.
So obviously staff is a constant challenge. We've got an insanely good team, but to make sure you keep them motivated, even as sometimes there's turnover and sometimes new people come in, making sure they fit the family well, making sure that they understand the vision and, grow with the store as well. So that's obviously, I think that's the case for almost any business. I
Do
would
you-
imagine. I don't think that's unique to ours.
I would think in a liquor store. Do you hire based on like culture? Like it's not culture from that standpoint, but like company culture. Do you hire like this person's going to fit in well with our staff based on their personality,
100%.
or do you hire based on talent?
No, 100%. I can teach you. I didn't know anything,
Right.
right? Like I can teach you between me and dad. I'm very, very confident that what you know doesn't matter.
Right.
Your attitude matters,
Right.
right? Be willing to learn, be willing to listen, be willing to adapt, be willing to change.
Yeah.
Maybe we don't love the way you normally or naturally greet customers, and then we want to tweak it a little so it's more consistent with the way we do it.
Right.
Be willing to adapt to say, okay, I'm willing to buy into this vision, and I'm willing to buy into the philosophy that obviously has worked.
Yeah.
We've been doing this for 30 years, right?
Yeah.
Are you still in the store a lot?
Yeah, every day if I'm not traveling, except for Sunday, I'm at the shop. Um, and then obviously we've got travel and things of that nature
Yeah.
that come up, like client visits that come up. Otherwise, I love the store. I love being there. I miss it when I'm not there. My
Yeah.
wife makes fun of me because we'll be on vacation and I'm like thinking about the store. Hiring, right?
I know.
Even now.
Yeah,
I
even
know
now,
that
like I mean,
feeling.
I genuinely love the business. I do it. So fun story going back to when I was growing up in the industry. I started helping dad obviously when I was 15, started doing it full time when I was in college. But even that full time was supposed to kind of be temporary. I went to college and I studied marketing and finance, and I was going to open either a PR firm or an advertising agency. That was my big vision. I had my own
Yeah.
whole life planned out. Then one summer I fell in love with the store.
Yeah.
And this temporary thing became permanent. And I told dad, I said, hey, I'm not leaving. You're gonna have to push me out at some point because I love it. I loved every aspect of it. Uh, I'm a people person. People are my drug,
Okay.
right? Like I love being around people. So the stories of our
Yeah.
industry, whether it's the manufacturers, the sales reps, the brand ambassadors, the customers, the fact that we would see a homeless guy 1 minute and then a guy worth $15 billion the next minute. Those are the things that literally get me emotionally high. I
Yeah.
get off on that stuff, right?
Yeah.
Like,
That's cool.
so for me, until this unbridled passion goes away, I
Yeah.
don't see it changing. Like, I
That's
don't
cool.
see myself not going to the store because I love it. Sorry, again. My dad is pushing 75. He goes to the store every single day that
Is that
he's in
right?
town. Every single day. He's like the Godfather. Comes in, doesn't need to do anything. Comes
Music
in,
playing in the background
stands
as
at
he
the
walks
register,
over
in.
there.
stands at the register like this. All the employees like, oh shit, we got to get to work. Go clean something, go restock something.
Right.
You know,
That's
as
cool.
long as he's in the store, it's like impeccable. And then he leaves, and everybody takes it down and like,
Yeah,
I
we
understand
we
that.
know about that.
Totally.
That's
Yeah,
cool.
for sure. Um, one particular day that you remember most, good or bad?
industry wise or
Yeah,
industry wise.
in the business.
I'll say one of my most memorable experiences, and we'll talk experiences, not the learnings like we just did with this previous gentleman. I was a part of a dinner for President George W. Bush while he was in office. It was a Republican Party fundraising event that was $40,000 a plate to be at said dinner, and I was the guest of one of my clients.
No way.
Yeah, it was insane. It was like a weekend long event, and the culmination of it was at Harlan Winery. That's this dinner where President Bush W spoke again while he was in office, so not former president, but President while he
So
was in office. And it was insane. And one of the events leading up to it was something where we had the Scotch tables. That's what my client flew me out for. So we brought a bunch of like badass scotches, like 30, 40-year-old scotches, and just had a table and people just come up one by one and, oh, I'd love to try that Highland Park 30 year. Tell me about it. Pour them, tell them about it. They'd go along their way. Somebody else would come up. And these guys at the event, as you can imagine, aren't regular
no,
people,
Yeah.
right? So, I mean, it's
Yeah.
every
not
celebrity
at
you could,
$40,000 a
Right.
plate.
you
Yeah.
got it. Every Hollywood celebrity you could think of was there. Arnold Schwarzenegger, while sitting governor,
Right.
was there. Actually, he spoke the night we did the Scotch thing. So like that whole weekend and the fact that I was able to be a part of this dinner is definitely one of my like, holy F, I got to do that experiences.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
I
for
mean,
badass.
sure.
It's
that's
badass.
pretty absolutely badass. Yeah, that's cool.
Is there anything that you would do differently if you could go back and change one
100%.
thing?
100%.
Really?
Buy every single bottle of rare whiskey
Oh, well, yeah.
imaginable.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll go. I'm with you on that. Can we go back, get the time
Yeah, get me a
warp
time
button?
machine.
Back when they couldn't sell Pappy,
Right.
That's
like
exactly
give
right.
me 12 cases of
100%, brother.
everything.
So here's
Yeah.
a fun story.
Right.
I was telling you earlier
That's
on
a
the way
good
here.
answer.
Yesterday, we were doing an interview where Gordon Hughes, the guy that started A Church, and I were doing an interview together. Somebody was interviewing us. And I told Gordon, I said, there was a time when I had ordered 3 bottles of A Church 16 year for the store because that's what we needed for the shelf. Back then, you could just order what you needed for
Sure.
the shelf from the distributor and it would show up. There was no
Right.
it's out or allocated. None of that existed.
No.
The distributor by mistake sent me 12 cases of it instead of 3 bottles. And these used to be 12-pack cases. And I looked at the invoice, and this was $62 wholesale at this time, by the way. And I looked at the invoice and I go, what the hell is this? We don't need 144 bottles of AH Hirsch, because back then you couldn't sell it. It was on a shelf for $90 and we used to have to beg people to buy it
And
because the
if I'm
whiskey
doing
was
my
so
math, that
good.
was like 10 grand
Yeah, no, right,
for
exactly.
144 bottles.
Right. So we would turn it down, turn it down. I called my sales rep. I said, hey, did you make a mistake? I asked for 3 bottles. You sent me 12. She goes, oh, I'm so sorry. I must have messed up. No big deal. Return it. I'll reship you 3 bottles tomorrow. Great. Returned it. In hindsight, we're buying those bottles now for $3,000 to $3,500 a pop.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I turned down 144 of them at $62. And that's just one very small story. There's countless,
Oh, I can
countless
imagine.
stories of like
You being in the business from 95, you've seen everything.
everything. I mean,
You probably have
all the
VTech stories, you probably-
Stitzel-Weller Pappy
Yeah.
you can think of. All
Probably
the
a lot of stuff you're buying now. You're like, man, I remember I bought that back in the day
bought it
for
and sold it.
$40.
And like you nailed it,
Yeah.
brother. We used to buy, think of every epic village you can think of, you know,
Yeah.
no chemist allowed, perfect square, et cetera, et cetera. Bottles that these days go for 20, 30, 40, $50,000 plus per bottle. We used to buy for $50 to $80 a bottle
know.
wholesale and sell them for $100. And you used to have to literally
Beg
beg
people.
customers to buy them.
I know.
Say, please trust me. I used to, you know how we sold. So Jefferson 18, batch 1 comes out,
Right.
Stitzel-Weller,
Right.
et cetera, right? I used to sell it to people saying, take it home, open it. If you don't love it, bring it back open and I'll give you something else off the shelf that you love. That's how we used to sell it to people. We used to have to make a deal to be
Crazy.
like, you're gonna love this. This is like, you cannot miss with this stuff.
Yeah, it's just
And
That's
now
crazy.
it's such like a complete 180. So that's the thing I
Oh,
would take back is just
100%.
buy every single bottle. And
I
not
walked
just
into that one.
bottles,
That was an easy
barrels.
answer.
right?
Barrels.
Barrels, right? Like I talked to Bill Thomas, who's you know, same industry as you guys at Jack Rose, and had the same kind of conversation. I was like, all the
Mhm.
bottles. He goes, are you kidding me? He said, you know how many Willet barrels we used to pass up on?
Mhm.
He's like, when we would buy one, we would pass up on like 15 to buy that one. He's like, in
Mhm.
hindsight, just buy all 15. Who gives a shit? It'll
Right.
sell at some point.
Eventually.
Yeah.
It's a good
And it'll sell
investment.
for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars, if not thousands of dollars.
I
Right.
forget what I was just reading, and they were talking about one chapter in the book talks about the new make at Stutzel-Weller was $200 a barrel. It's like,
And I was talking to Gordon,
you know,
when I was talking to Gordon Hughes
Yeah, all right.
yesterday,
I'd love that. Can we buy all the?
yeah, please.
Can we get a round of about 1,000 barrels?
I forget what book it was.
so you'll love this. When I was talking to Gordon Hughes yesterday, talking about the H. Hirsch, when he bought the H. Hirsch from Adolph, he bought 700. I have it in my notes. So I'm going to say 775 or 76 or so odd barrels for $125,000 total.
Yeah.
I did the math. It was $135 a barrel
Yeah,
for at that time 14-year Hirsch.
Wow.
I think I read that. Didn't
Golly,
Cattery
can we
write?
talk about-
Cattery
Yeah,
wrote
he
a
wrote a
book
book about the
Yeah,
Hirsch.
I read
Like the
that.
Gold Foil is the
The-
best bourbon you can hope to drink. Or
Yeah,
whatever.
that you'll never be able to.
Exactly, that you'll never find or whatever.
Yeah, that you'll never find. I read that book. Yeah,
So I mean, that's insane.
that
to think
story
about
is.
$135
A
a barrel.
barrel. And
I
there's
was talking to him,
200 something bottles in a barrel.
and I was talking to him yesterday. He said when we did the math, and I did the math with him, I said all in, including paying Julian to bottle it, the bottle cost, the case, you had to pay a distributor to clear it,
Right.
et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
His all-in
like-
cost was less than $7 a bottle.
I was gonna say.
And I think I said new make on the Stutzel-Weller. I think it was like aged.
Yeah,
Stutzel-Weller
it had to
whiskey.
have been.
Yeah, it was like
aged
6,
$7 a bottle.
7 or 8 years old Stutzel-Weller for $200 a barrel. They're
Yeah.
just trying to get rid of.
It's
Exactly.
probably what
Oh,
$4,000
goodness.
bottle now.
Oh God, well over that. I mean, if we're talking about retail, depending on again which Hirsch, because there's so many different
Yeah, right.
iterations of it, they range
Like the
between
humidor one. That
Yeah, exactly. They range from 4,000 to 30,000,
Right. Well, yeah.
and all of them cost $7 a bottle. It's, I mean, mind-boggling, right? So there's your time machine.
Yeah. Wow.
If only we'd known.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, or
So,
even
man,
if we would have just had a hint.
Right.
You know, I don't need to know everything.
Save some of
Just
that
give
for
me
later.
the hint that it's going to go crazy.
So here's the thing, right? My wife asks me all the time. She goes, if you know, because we like to do what we call future projections,
Yeah.
right? Like, what's this thing going to be worth tomorrow? So my wife goes, let's assume we've got 10 bottles of something that's $1,000 today that I think will be 1,500 in 3 years or whatever.
Right.
She goes, so why are you selling any of them?
Yeah.
Why don't you just sit on all of them? And I tell her, I said, because then at some point you have to sell something to make money.
Right. Cash flow
Right.
becomes a problem.
Exactly. And I told her, I said, I'll happily buy it at 1,000 or 800 today and sell it at 1,000.
Right.
If I have to buy it at 1,100 next year, no problem. We'll buy it at 1,100 even though it's more than we sold it for, then our selling price goes up. Like we were
Yeah.
talking about earlier, it's all about cost of acquisition.
Sure.
So you just, even if you're buying something at a higher price today than you did yesterday, or even if than you sold it for yesterday, it doesn't matter. That's a reflection of the fact that the value has gone up. So then,
Yeah.
Do you think
so
those
the goods-
bottles exist?
which bottles?
The bottles that are going to, is
Today, you talking about that are
is
being
the
put out
20
today?
is the 2020s going to have what the 1970s and 60s and
Gotcha.
though do those exist? I mean,
You're saying like
is Par-
20 years from now?
Well, yeah, but
will
I
a
mean,
bottle
are
that
you going
came
to look at Parker's Heritage and go, man, I should have said on that, or William Heaven Hill, or whoever it may be? Do those exist? I
I think so.
I know Minnick wrote something about that, and I do read. I liked that article that he wrote. He actually tried to forecast like 4 or 5 different ones. I can't remember the ones that he said, but it's like I don't know. I don't know. I think about the master keeps and stuff from Wild Turkey that are allocated, that are limited in their release, but are they still going to have? I mean, are we ever going to look? The green tint. Is there ever going to be that?
So here's what happens. I think so. Let's talk about Parker's Heritage. If we're talking about Parker's Heritage, I think that craze or value or whatever will continue and will stay, and it will be in 20 years. We'll look back and go, "Oh my God!" But it may not be Parker's Heritage bottles being released today, just
More
because
is
there's so many of them.
Yeah.
More so, like
the whole.
Parker's Heritage 1 and 2
Yeah.
and 3 and 4, those will exponentially go up because, as you guys know, you guys open all the crazy ass stuff here, right?
Yeah.
Every time a bottle of those gets opened, every unopened bottle in the world goes up in value.
Sure.
And that happens every time a new bottle gets opened up, right? So the things that there's a finite amount of, I think will be
Right.
continue to go up and will continue to go up astronomically.
Yeah.
Then I think there's maybe like somebody like a Pablo and what Rare Character is doing right now. They're probably the hottest name in American whiskey right now, I would
Right.
assume. They've got some releases that they put out that are, release price $150 that are already going for $1,000, etc. And is
And
there a
there's only
chance that
150 of them out there.
there you go, and
or maybe less now that
maybe
they've been
less,
drank.
and then exactly now there might be 50 unopened ones. So if we fast forward to 20 years,
Yeah.
maybe there's 8 unopened ones, let's say, and then if the brand continues at the trajectory that it's on now, then a bottle like that becomes 5,000 or 10,000 or 50,000 or whatever it may be.
Right.
But there's few and far between of those guys that are producing now that I feel like that have that kind of potential long-term
Right.
sex appeal.
And I think you probably hit the nail on the head. It's probably going to be these one-offs. It's not going to be the Parkers that had 10,000
Right.
bottles that are released. It's going to be the single barrel pick that for whatever reason
that caught fire and just continued.
Yeah.
The ball kept on rolling. They kept on snowballing bigger and bigger. Yeah.
Just for whatever weird
Yeah.
reason. What's the stock that went crazy? Was it the GameStop or
Oh
whatever?
yeah.
It's,
Sure,
it's something like that. It's like how random. Who would have thought to hold that bottle? Because now it's worth
exactly. And then you go, oh my God, I opened one, and I forgot I had one in the office. I opened that also. Right?
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. Well, that's how we ended up with the Rascaller Rise.
Yeah.
Was
that's
the
amazing.
guy came to us.
They run
and
bar.
They were just at a party when they at the Sealbach back in the day.
Oh wow!
When they released it
them.
was like $100-something bottle.
And you got a night stay if I remember correctly or something.
I don't remember what it was, but they were like they couldn't.
His dad.
They couldn't give them
14.
away.
He was 14. They were selling for 100.
Well, they all got one. They couldn't give them away.
Yeah, they couldn't sell them.
So they ended up. They were like, "Well, we'll buy one," and they had every intention to drink them.
And the value kept on going
up.
They didn't know what they had.
It just never got.
They never got to it.
It just never. They just never got to it, and then all of a sudden, they're like, "Let's drink it," and then it's like, "Wait a minute, let's check."
Do you know how much that's worth?
Yeah, and then it's like, no,
not drinking that one.
Yeah, not now. It's too much now, and now you're sitting on a rare.
Yeah.
Something.
I mean, we see that all the time. I'm sure you guys do. We talk to customers all the time. They go, I bought this bottle for $50 with every intention of drinking it. I have 6 of them or whatever because I loved it. And I drank a ton of these. Now that they're worth 800 or whatever the number may be, I just can't justify opening them anymore.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't make sense.
Well, at some point, At some point, you have to ask yourself, would you pay $1,000 for that bottle to drink it?
Right.
And at some point, it's like, no.
Right.
Then
if there's
just
$1,000 on the shelf today, would you buy it to drink?
No.
If the answer is no,
then sell it.
Yeah.
Or hang on to it.
Or
and
do
don't
something
drink
cool with it.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Exactly. And I think, that's how those ended up
That's amazing.
And Red Hook probably was similar.
I mean, all of these
how many
bottles
of
you
those
talk
got
to,
drank?
God, so many. I mean, there's people
She
that
couldn't give
famously
those away.
make cocktails with it,
Yeah,
did like whiskey gingers with it, like
yeah,
because it was just like, yeah, it's a
yeah,
bottle of rye.
Yeah.
yeah. Well, the story the other day with Jason Bronner was they were doing eggnog with
Oh yeah.
144 proof stag
Yeah.
Yeah,
because it was like
it was
The
just
stag
basically,
nog.
yeah,
yeah,
this will
stag
work.
nog.
Having the stag
Yeah,
nog.
this will work. Yeah, it's fascinating.
It is. That's just crazy.
Who would have thought?
Yeah.
Yeah, but
If you knew then. We've had some really cool finds. We had a lady that worked at,
Brown Foreman
Brown Foreman for 40 years,
and
and
her.
they used to get a bottle every year, and she never opened
Very
them.
cool.
So we still have some of those, and some of the just cool bottle shapes,
That's
rocket
really cool.
shaped
Yeah,
bottles, and
yeah, yeah.
all
Those
kind
are
of stuff.
great.
So all those kind of stories are
Yeah,
cool.
those decanter bottles
Yeah,
back in the day and stuff.
yeah,
Man, those are
and
beautiful.
you know it's legit when you walk in and it's it's an elderly lady and she's like it's all down in the basement and then you got every
Tax
year
stamps
that's
are
like one
perfect,
after
and
another and they've never left
Yeah, they've
the
never left.
cellar,
Yeah.
and
I
it's
got a
like
call one time from a guy. He goes, "Hey man, I just walked into an estate sale because my wife made me." And we're talking to this person. I go, "You got any whiskey?" And he goes, "Yeah, there's a couple of crates in the basement." Goes down there, two unopened crates of medicinal whiskey,
oh
pint bottles, pre-prohibition,
yeah,
holy,
open boxes, like mint. I mean,
right, because it's
absolutely
never
mint
seen the light
condition.
of day.
Exactly. And he goes, so I called a buddy of mine, go, "Hey, I'm gonna buy these $4 a bottle," is what he paid the person for him. Because they were like, give me $100 for the crate, 24 in a box. I said, okay, yeah, that's fine. I'll take the $200, give it to. And he goes, I was speaking to a buddy of mine, and go, "What should I do with these?" And he goes, "Call Prav."
Right.
He's like, and don't open them yet. So call
Do
him
not know.
before you open them, because they'll be worth more as an unopened case than they will be as a opened
Right.
case. So he called me. We worked out a deal. Part of the deal was I was like, "I'll give you a bottle
Yeah,
so you could try it
of
also."
course.
Right? Because the stuff is magical.
Yeah,
we kind of had the same thing. Guy we bought it,
his
but he wanted to have a
You
sip
want to
with
taste
us.
it?
He
Yes.
wanted to taste it, and so
so we
there was
opened one.
probably 10 or 12 of us. He brought his
Yeah,
attorney, and
there was people in there. Yeah.
it had been in his family the whole time. Great grandfather, grandfather, dad, and him
Owned a liquor store back in the day, back in the
for 100 years.
pre-prohibition.
Wow.
Yeah.
And when
Yep.
prohibition hit, it all went down in the cellar and it never came out. And
You
it's
can't
just been
believe some of the
passed
tax
down.
stamps over there. They're
I believe it, brother.
And
I
the fill
believe it.
levels were
fill levels were
amazing.
great. But that was part of the deal. He said, "I just want to taste it." He goes, "I've been seeing this at my grandfolks' house forever."
He said more than fair.
And so we poured a little sip, and we were just kind of,
It was like 40 something bottles.
So
Yeah.
what you did, in all honesty, and this is my favorite thing to do in the industry slash hobby, you made memories. You made
Oh
moments.
yeah,
yeah, for sure.
It was
It's
crazy.
the best thing we do is we make memories and moments.
Yeah,
It's
it was
the
cool,
best
man.
thing we can do.
It was
Yeah,
cool.
100%. So last thing, tell you. So you got a brand out now? Just kind of
Yeah.
playing around with it and see what
Yeah.
happens, or are you
So
gonna? What are your aspirations?
no, I
And kind of
mean,
tell us about what you got
so
going
what
on with that.
happened is I'll give you a little bit of a longer, but not too long of a version of it. Couple 3, 4 years ago, my dad came to me because we're doing a ton of barrel picks, right? We've
Right,
been doing barrel picks before it was cool, since before people knew what barrel picks were and
right,
stuff. And he goes, we've built a lot of brands for a lot of people. And again, this sounds pompous, but it's absolutely
Sure,
true.
sure.
There's distilleries that we were an early mover on, that we were one of the first or the first person to do a barrel pick of. And then sure enough, we've been really blessed, knock on wood, with an insanely good following, and our barrel picks sell out almost immediately and kind of develop like a cult like national following. So what happens with that is
Yeah.
demand builds for that brand over time, right? Sometimes it catches on like wildfire and it's almost overnight, and sometimes it takes a little bit of time. So
Right.
we've done this for a lot of people where we've helped build their brand. Why don't we do it for ourselves?
Okay.
Why don't we build our brand and help build the legacy of that? Why don't we have a legacy that we can leave behind? My dream to build something that we can leave behind that'll outlast us all.
Right.
So who knows what'll happen to the store in 5, 10, 20 years or whatever, right?
Right.
But if we build a brand and it can be here, outlast us all, that's my dream.
Right.
So we started Dream Spirits because it was his dream.
Okay.
So that's what it's called. We owned 300 to 400-ish barrels or so
Okay.
now that we store in our place in Leesburg, Virginia. And the goal is to taste through barrels regularly, oh no, such a tough job.
Yeah, right.
And then just
I
bottle.
gotta go to the warehouse today.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Honey, I'll be back. I gotta go work.
Yeah, right.
And then go through and taste them and bottle single barrels either for ourselves or what we started to do is sell single barrels to other people
Experiences. Yeah.
and experiences. Exactly. So we sell barrels now to private barrel groups and private individuals and corporate clients. Just in the last couple of months or so, actually maybe starting spring or so, we started distribution. So we've got distribution out in Florida and California and Rhode Island,
That's cool.
Oh,
obviously
wow.
DC, you know, a couple of other
So you're putting
stores.
out a little bit of volume,
Well, not a ton, but yeah, I mean, we're very
a few
selective still.
thousand at a
We're
batch.
no, so we've only
It's all
done
single barrel.
it's all single barrel. We've only done 2 small batches that we've
Okay.
released so far.
Okay.
There's 4 more small batches that are in the works that are coming,
Okay.
but they're genuinely small batches.
Right.
So we're really lucky and blessed in the sense that the brand isn't our financial windfall,
Right.
right? We don't need it to feed our family. We don't
Right.
need it to rely upon it
Right.
financially. So the blessing with that is that none of our decisions are financial based.
Right.
They're all emotion based.
Right.
I tell our clients, like, we had a barrel picking group in there last week and they wanted to do something that, you know, seemed off the wall. And I was like, listen, my only requirements are that it's legal,
Right.
it's cool, and it's fun.
Yeah.
As long as you check those 3 boxes,
Yeah.
we'll do it.
Right.
We're not corporate America. I don't have to
Right.
go ask anybody. You want
Right.
to blend 2 barrels together and make a micro batch? Great, let's do that.
Yeah.
You want to blend a bourbon and a rye single barrel? Great, let's do that. Right? Like we launched, which I'm shocked that nobody had done before, something what I call the evolution barrel. So you guys have tasted 100 different single barrels, right? And you've
Mhm.
tasted the same SKU at 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, 8 years,
Right.
etc. But it's always tasting very different, and it's not just because of the age; it's because it's a completely different barrel. So you can't really tell me what a 8-year MGP single barrel particularly tastes like in comparison to a 5-year counterpart because they're so different. The barrels themselves are different
Right.
barrels.
Sure.
So we launched what we call the evolution barrel. You can buy a barrel from us at Dream Spirits, and we will bottle 12 bottles a year for you from that same exact single barrel.
Yeah.
So you can watch that barrel evolve over time.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So now you can take a look at it and go,
Very
man,
cool.
this 10-year Booker's distillate that I bought, it tastes like this at 10, and then it tasted like this at 11, and it tastes like this at 12.
Right.
It's the exact same single barrel.
Yeah,
So you
that's
can
cool.
literally see it evolve
Yeah.
over time. And when you get 12 bottles, what we've seen more than anything else is guys and gals in groups of 6 will come in and buy them together.
Oh,
So
okay.
everybody gets 2 bottles each.
Yeah. Exactly.
Open 1 bottle of each on release, put 1 bottle of each back.
Yeah.
So whenever the barrel's empty, you get to do the most badass side by side vertical.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, that's
You
cool.
probably
man.
have 15 years or so.
Right? Who knows, right? Because
Probably,
like if
yeah.
you go like, well, maybe not
Evaporation's
that many.
gonna-
Because if you're starting at like a 9-year-old product,
Well, yeah. If you start that old,
because that's what we started with right now, right? So
Yeah.
like, let's assume you
But
get
you might
to
get 10 years
20
out of
years.
it.
Exactly. You'll
Yeah.
get 10 or 11 years.
Yeah.
But how cool would that
That's
be
cool,
to do
man.
like this
Yeah.
is how this particular barrel evolved,
Yeah.
aged in the same place,
Yeah.
and came from the same single
That's a
barrel.
great idea.
Yeah.
That's
So
great.
like, we want to do stuff that's fun.
Yeah.
So
Those are fun.
So the long-term goal, if you would, is just to keep doing things that are cool and
Yeah.
unique and to build a brand to make dad happy and also get him some of the recognition that he deserves. I
Yeah.
feel like, right? Like
Yeah.
if the brand becomes a thing, like a national or potentially a global thing,
Right.
I hope that at some point in the history books, and it sounds cheesy as hell, but his name will be somewhere in there.
Right. For sure.
Right?
Well, I
That's
think,
my
yeah.
goal.
I think it will be anyway.
I do
But,
too.
I mean, I know it is for every story I tell.
Yeah.
And it is for every story any family member of mine tells.
Yeah.
Right? Like we tell them all the time, like there should be movies about you. Like if I told you the stuff that this man has done, like
No, I think
you
so.
would be like mind boggled. Like I grew up watching him work at a gas station 21 hours a day, 7 days a week. No complaints. He would come home, sleep for an
Right.
hour and a half, take a shower, pray, eat, go right back to work every single day of the week. No holidays, no Christmas, no 4th of July, nothing.
Wow.
And didn't do it to be like,
No.
he just did it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He wasn't ever like, you guys should be grateful to me that I did. No, he just did it. It was a part of who he was.
Yeah.
He was
His
going to do whatever he
responsibility.
needed to do exactly to
Mhm.
provide for his family and to better his life and his family's life.
It's amazing.
Whatever needed
Yeah.
to be done.
Yeah.
I mean, but listen, that's the American dream.
Yeah.
That's what every immigrant that comes to this country chases,
Right.
is that you work your ass off, right?
Right.
And eventually you're gonna get the white picket fence and the
Yeah.
2.5 kids and the dog, etc.
Yeah,
Right?
that's cool.
Awesome. Well, I think that's anything else you want to
No,
leave us
man. I
with,
mean,
or
God, like
So
you
I,
guys have been
I
amazing.
liked doing it with Bronner. I don't know that I'll do the exact same way, but I'll have you give me 3 words. I'll throw a name or a brand out. Just give me three
Okay.
words.
Okay, cool.
So let's start with the one that I'm probably going to use every time, Jim Rutledge. Give me 3 words to describe Jim Rutledge.
Legendary legacy. I'm gonna say legend again. I mean,
Yeah.
that's funny because his is 3 legend. Legend.
Legend. I mean,
that's so funny that I
I have
threw
such a
that in there.
spot for
Yeah.
Jim Rutledge. He, when I didn't know anything about anything, he ate pizza with me
Yeah, I
and
mean,
talked.
But you've probably done how many picks with Jim?
I haven't done any with him.
You really?
Yeah,
Because I would assume doing 4 roses and
yeah, I
those
haven't done
types of
any
things.
with him. We've done Four Roses, but
Yeah.
again, I mean, the man is a
Yeah. Okay.
forever legend.
So
Cemented his
this one
place
I'll
in-
go a little more generic. I don't know if you know in the Van
Sure.
Winkles at all.
Sure.
The Van Winkle family. Give me 3 words with them, and it's hard probably not to repeat legend.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I was thinking legend, like historic,
Historic. I love that.
significance, and what I mean by significance is their family will probably go down in history as the most important family in American whiskey distilling history, in my
That's
opinion.
arguably true.
Julian's story is amazing.
Oh, I
If you haven't
believe it
read
100%.
Pappyland,
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, if just it's
And the
amazing.
third word will probably be family. Like
Yeah.
my family is super important to me, and it's clear that the Van Winkle lineage,
I mean,
like
look what his
they
daughters are doing now.
exactly,
Pappy and Co. It's
exactly.
just that's crazy.
Yeah.
I'll give you one more. Chris Morris.
Uh, legend. I mean,
It is definitely harder.
educated.
Yes,
He is one
very
of the
good.
smartest
Very good on
people I've
Chris
ever come
Morris.
across
Yeah.
in the industry. Friendly, right? Like we
He
did a
is.
barrel pick with
So-
him where we picked the Old Forester President's Choice barrel that sold for $250,000. So we won that barrel. So we did the pick, and Chris Morris was a part of the pick, and he and I hit it off. It felt like we knew each other for years
Yeah.
because the guy's just so friendly. And I'd say the third would probably be genuine. I mean,
Yeah.
he just doesn't bullshit.
So I
He
said
just
that was
comes
gonna be my
across.
last one's not. I got one.
Okay. Yeah.
Bill Samuels Jr.
God, man, like legend again. So I'll tell you, like Maker's Mark to me is one of the coolest distilleries. Iconic, absolutely. To me, like, and I'm steering from the 3 words, but I'm just real quick on Makers and why it's so important to me. I think they took this weeded mash bill that the Van Winkles also do and made it really, really accessible and
Yep.
really, really cool. And until about 2, 3, 4, 5 years ago, that's all they made. They made one SKU and
That's
nothing
right.
else. And they were
That's
just
right.
like, screw you. This is what we do. And this is all we do.
And it's really, really good.
And it's
with-
really, really
and
good.
it's-
And we're not going to change.
Right.
And now, recently, maybe in the last decade or so, and especially recently in the last 3, 4, 5 years, they've started to tinker with things and do other cool things. Cellar aged,
The
the hard
101.
release, the 101.
Oh.
And all of these things are hidden. Like,
Yeah.
think of a modern distillery that has as many hits as Maker's Mark does. And I think if you look at the percentages of what they release in comparison to what are hits, you'd be hard pressed to find
Sure.
someone else that
I
does
would
it as well.
absolutely agree with
So,
that.
I mean, iconic. Obviously, the red wax comes to mind, right?
Yeah,
Bill
exactly.
Samuels. And I'll say teacher because I mean, one of my near dear friends was the late great Dave Pickrell,
Oh,
and Dave talked many a times about how he and Bill would talk and learn things together and work on things together.
yeah. I just went back and watched that interview. Fred was probably the last one to talk to him as far as interview,
Sure.
and it was like on Showtime or whatever. But he's one. Parker Beam
Yep.
being one that I wish I went to heaven hell after he had
Mhm.
passed, and Dave Pickerel.
Dave
Those
was
two
my
are
gosh.
always right up there with if I just Booker too.
Yeah.
So I'll give you those 3, but
Sure.
those 3 are amazing. I wish I could have at
Listen,
least
man,
sat
I mean,
down with them.
We're so lucky to be in the industry we're in.
For
There
sure,
are
man.
so many legends, some
Absolutely.
living, some unfortunately have since passed. But the legends in our industry, you just go down the list, and I mean, you could throw 20 names at me, and we could go legend, legend, legend.
Yeah,
Right,
because
for
for
sure.
sure.
It just fits their profile.
It does.
Whiskey isn't just something to consume; it's something to make memories with, something to make experiences with, something to make bonds over, etc.
Yeah, for sure.
And if not for these legends making this product, maybe we don't have these opportunities to forge the relationships that we're forging.
Sure.
Well, and I think it's
That's
cool that bourbon got to where it is today so that they could be recognized as
Yeah.
Right.
legends. Because if it was still rot gut, bottom shelf, nobody
Sure.
cares.
Yeah.
I don't know that they would be
Totally.
legends.
Yeah.
If you're still trying to hustle a bottle of Pappy
Right.
Yeah.
today,
When Jimmy Russell started getting on planes and going to Vegas and he was this rock star, everything changed.
That's exactly.
They became, people were waiting for him to come to these liquor stores
That's
and stuff.
exactly right.
So it was awesome.
I mean, Frank Sinatra tried to tell us about it years ago with Jack.
Yeah,
Right?
absolutely.
We just didn't listen.
Yeah, for
No,
sure.
that's cool.
That's great.
Well, Prav, thanks for coming out.
Guys, my pleasure.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
This is
Thank
really
you both.
fun. This
It was a
really
lot
cool.
of fun chatting with you guys. It
Yeah.
feels like it's been 10 minutes, which I'm sure it's been way longer. But
It's been a little longer than 10 minutes.
So thank you so much for your time.
But yeah, so if you're out in DC, in the Dupont area,
please
obviously,
come by and say hi. If you're in DC, say hi online. My friends will tell you I'm really slow at getting back to people online just because I suck at it, but I will get back to you.
Yeah, and follow. And do you know your handles, Instagram?
Yeah, Instagram's generally the easiest and best way to reach us. So that's at West Dupont Wines.
Yeah.
At West Dupont Wines is plural.
Cool. Yeah. So until next time, that's our show for today with Prav Saraff, and we'll see you next time.
See you.
Thanks, guys.
Hey guys, I'm Tommy. This is Josh. We're the owners of Watch Hill Proper. We are the largest American whiskey bar in the world. We're located in Louisville, Kentucky. We'd love for you guys to come out and visit us. We offer, elevated cuisine, great cocktail list, and the wall is what people show up to see.
Definitely can satisfy your palate from standpoint of whiskeys, different bourbons, different flights. You can make your own, but we have wines, cocktails. Michael Crouch is our chef.
I was going to say,
amazing food. So we'd love to have you come out and visit. Join us for dinner, join us for a tasting. Check us out on the website, watchhillproper.com. You can make reservations. You can see our events that we have on the calendar, and we'd love to have you.